that reminds me of? What's the name of that movie? Killers of the Flower Moon?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yep.
Now remember what they did. Dude married, into the family just to, kill them off and take over their land because of the oil.
Yep.
And then they give that land to them because there was nothing on it. It was supposed to be a barren land, and they found out there was oil. And all of a sudden, all these Muslims, got an interest in that land.
It says, neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat, and thou at the last.
By the way, that same thing that happened, in that situation, that movie, was the same year that Black Wall Street was the same year.
Yeah, that covers the north and the south.
Yeah, so the Lord has all these examples to show, like time and time again, that hey, this man's the devil. Don't go to him. Now heading into that ultimate time, when he pushes that MOTV, don't go to him.
Yeah. It says, and thou at the last remember my words and be quick therewith. Who would pity a charmer that is bitten with a serpent, or any such as come nigh wild beasts?
You get what you get.
Yeah.
You fuck with the serpent and you get bit. What the dude say?
Oh yeah.
Bitch, I was a snake.
Yeah.
Look, no matter what you do for them, it's never enough. Once they get to up, they gonna be. That's why I say he comes crumbling and crouching. That was a mixture between crumbling and crouching and humbling. If he comes like that, don't believe that motherfucker. It's a lie.
Yep.
It's a lie. He wants something from you.
Exactly.
He's doing that because there's something that you got that he wants, or there's something that he wants you to do for him.
Yep.
But once he finishes using your ass, he's gonna discard you like he does anything else.
That's right.
You're nothing but a thing. If you go to the store, you buy a water. Once that water's done, you normally throw the bottle out.
That's right.
Or you throw that package out. That's what the people are to them. You're an asset, so you're not an asset anymore. Then you become waste. This waste, we got to get rid of this waste. Get it out of here. You accomplish, in the movie Geronimo, they showed the scouts, the scouts, they were helping Esau take Gad out. And when all the Gadites were taken down on reservations and all that, what happened? They put those same scouts on the same reservation. You were right to hate the white man.
Yeah.
No shit, motherfucker. This is what we've been telling you, but you helped them. It's too late now.
Too late.
Same thing with the Buffalo Soldiers.
Yep. That was it, man.
This is Sirach 13, and I'll start at 5. It says, if thou have anything, he will live with thee. Woo. Yeah, he will make thee bear, and will not be sorry for it. If he have need of thee, he will deceive thee and put thee in hope. He will speak thee fair and say what wants is thou.
Yeah, he'll kiss your ass.
Yep.
Blow hot steam up your ass. Have you all, like thinking that you the shit.
Yeah.
And then you get uppity, and you start trying to bark back, and what happens? Then they take your ass out.
It says, he will shame thee by his meats until he have drawn thee dry twice or thrice, and at his last he shall laugh thee to scorn afterward. When he seeth thee, he will forsake thee and shake his head at thee.
You should have a picture of Esau next to that scripture.
You know it.
Beware that thou be not deceived and brought down in thy jollity.
Hey, bottom line is, because he gonna group it up, but he's gonna be, laughing and all that. But in the back of his mind, remember it says the word was softer than oil, yet with a drawn sword. And at the end, they have a plan to get rid of you. Here it is, you all, in the, you see these so-called celebrities.
Yeah.
They was, being the gatekeepers for Esau. Yep. Now they're being thrown under the bus. Now they're being the sacrifice.
Yep.
Whether it's something that is done as a humiliation thing or whatever.
Yep.
But you still got, you know, you ain't gonna see the Rothschilds that they're going through. Humiliation.
Hell no. It's not happening.
Just look at the whole difference between the Epstein and the Diddy trial. The Diddy trial, it's all like a big circus around it. Right? It went to trial fast.
Yeah.
They had Epstein up in the lockup, and nobody knew where he was. And then when they did have hearings, no, you couldn't go in there. It's a private hearing, secret, that's reporting. Same thing with Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah. Yep.
All of a sudden. And
The list is still redacted.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's why Elon said Trump on the list. He said Trump is on the list. He probably is. Not only him, but everybody underneath him.
Yeah. Flight logs for the Lolita Express.
Yeah. And they got the FBI. You already know their hands are all in it. So that's why they can't let that go to trial, because it would implicate federal agencies being part of the operation. The Feds, the CIA, the Mossad, okay, all these agencies, MI6, MI5, they're all working together for those guys we're talking about. The dudes that skip the bread line. All right.
Yeah, it's too much, you know, to expose them.
Yep.
So they're not gonna I guess sacrifice that, for lack of a better word. You got it.
Well, for instance, right, this whole Diddy trial thing, they go into details, man.
Yeah, they follow the
I was just listening to a little bit of it.
Yep. Sick. It's sick, bro.
Yeah, but that ain't even as half as disgusting with the elite.
Exactly.
No, sure.
And they the ones that put Diddy on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Diddy, that's the shit going on in San Francisco this all month is worse than what Diddy doing.
For sure.
Diddy's just having a fun time, according to him. He's just living the Hollywood life. That's the kind of lifestyle they live.
Hey,
Freakism. Freak offs, that's what they call it.
Yeah.
And then all the women are acting like victims.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. But when it came to Jeffrey Epstein, this guy had motherfuckers flying to the island, heads of state, bankers, okay, scientists. He had everyone involved. Plus, the dude had way more money than Diddy ever had.
For sure.
The guy had billions, supposedly. For what? How'd he get all that?
Yep.
So he couldn't get attorneys, he couldn't do all that? It's all a bunch of bullshit.
And he got arrested and convicted.
Oh, yeah?
He was dealing with an underage girl.
Yeah, that was done in state court.
Yeah, he got probation for that.
He got
Probation where he was still able to go and move about free, travel across the world, get on airplanes and stuff.
And it was the federal agencies that stepped in and said, nah, we went in there and told the state attorney, you ain't pursuing this case. We're going to let this guy go. And not only that, this guy had land in Manhattan. To get land in Manhattan, man, you're 30 million deep. Back then, right, nowadays, get land in Manhattan, what they call that, Park Central, whatever. Central Park, right? That's like the most expensive real estate on earth. That dude had it. But you're telling me he just killed himself, he just off himself. And then they got this guy, Cash Patel, on Joe Rogan. A dirty, stinking Edomite, man. Hey, a dirty, you can smell it on him, man. That guy, he's over there just covering for the FBI the whole time. Well, yeah, he really did kill himself. Well, before he came the head of the FBI, he was talking about, oh yeah, we're gonna go after the deep state. We're gonna go after him. Oh, when I was an FBI agent, I've seen a lot of bad things. Well, now that you're in charge of it, you're protecting it. All right, and that's what the whole thing about the U.S. government. It's a big club, man, and then they're just doing the will of the people who own them, the elites. Okay, the U.S. is what, trillions of dollars in debt to who?
Right.
To who? Keep reading that. Or whatever you have.
It's a big club and you're not a part of it.
Yeah. That's it.
So Sirach 11 and 29, it says, bring not every man into thine house, for the deceitful man hath many trains.
That's right. That's talking about mainly so-called white man. Esau, Edom. If you want to get the apostle speaking about scouts. A lot of them scouts, they was going off beef with the other tribes. Like, I don't like that tribe anyways. Let me link up with the enemy to take these niggas down because they killed my family. They did this to me. They stole my land. We had a beef. Next thing you know, Esau Edom throws them on the same breath. He said, hey, you better get down with them because you ain't coming around us. Who would you thought you were going to give you a Medal of Honor? Right? Give you some special dignitary position within the U.S. military? No, you're just a dirty, stinking Indian.
You thought you was going to sit with the white man?
Yeah.
At the table? Nah.
And the closest Gad ever got to the president was Sitting Bull, when he was doing the Wild West, Buffalo Bills Wild West, right? And that was just a little circus roadshow they would do before television. They'd have the circus roadshow, and the Gad would be in it. They would perform the stagecoach robberies, you know, cowboys and Indians. That was pre-Hollywood. So when Hollywood came, they just made that in the movies, because that's what the American people wanted to see. But what did he do? He made sure to go to that one, get all the way to Washington, D.C. when they performed for the president. Who was it? Grover Cleveland, one of the presidents? Yeah, and he cursed him out to his face, man. He got off the horse, ended the show, and started cursing out Esau. You know? And that was the whole reason why he did it, just so he could curse out Esau. Okay? And he didn't back down from E. He didn't sign any treaties with the so-called white man. But what happened? He still lost everything. Okay, this is the so-called Seminoles. They didn't sign with their treaties with the so-called white man. Yet they still are catching them with pure hell. They gave them little swamplands out there in Florida. But now all of a sudden, every Jake is an American Indian now, which a lot of our people are. They fail to recognize that the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, we're all the same people.
Right.
But yet they'll bring Esau in. They'll get real close to the so-called white men or other nation. But look at their other tribes as lesser men, especially the so-called black men, how they look towards Nigerians and the Jamaicans, the Haitians. Those are your brothers, and vice versa. Okay, you guys are all brothers. We're all Israelites. Okay, same thing with all the Latin tribes, the north and the south. Y'all look down on each other, hate on each other, but y'all are all the same people.
So you got the whole FBA versus Gadite thing going on.
That's madness.
You were trying to say he the original native of America. Well, you know, he don't understand that we're the same people.
Well, the thing is,
Dark skinned Gadites.
well, you got dark skin throughout all the tribes. You go anywhere, you go to any ghetto, you find the lightest or the darkest. They're all from the same tribe. They're all from the same lineage. Okay, same thing with Gad, same thing with Issachar. Okay, you'll see the whole spectrum of colors. You go to that island of Puerto Rico, you'll see a guy who look like an Edomite, but then you'll see a dude who look like a straight Jake. But they're all so-called Puerto Ricans, the tribe of Ephraim. See, our people are bugged out. Their minds so good. Well, the FBA guys who think they're Native Americans, right? I'll give them some time. They're gonna break it down right. They're gonna say they're the Tartarians. They're gonna say, yeah, we was over here. We was over here as a Tartarian. We built all this, man. Then the Mongoloid Indians came with the Bering Strait and took us down with the white man.
Yeah, which that don't even make no sense.
There's
You
no
actually
timeline
go
on
into
that.
the customs and Gad ain't got nothing to do with anything involving Asia. Or Chinese people, or Japanese people, or them Siberians.
I mean, they at least somewhere in America, right? They should have found at least a statue of Buddha, right?
Some. You don't see that stuff. When you go into it, what you do see is that Gad was keeping the customs that go back to the scriptures, the customs that was given to the Israelites. Also, when you so-called Negroes who walk over here, they linked up tough with there's a documentary, I think I downloaded, I can't find it on YouTube no more, but they actually said it, you know, in the documentary, the reason why the natives hooked up with the slaves because they shared customs. So if these people came from Asia, and then you so-called Negroes, supposedly you come from Africa, why do you have similar customs? You
Right.
1,000 miles away from each other. You're on completely different continents, supposedly, right? You're from Africa.
Why weren't American Indians eating with chopsticks and making noodles?
What about
You know, that they don't have any of that garb that they have over there, man. Everything they have, when the so-called white man came and said, that's Eastern, as in Middle Eastern, as in Oriental, as in that part of the East, not that far East. Okay? They're like, these people are Eastern people. They come from the East, meaning the East of Europe, the Middle East. Okay? And like you're saying, well, for instance, we were speaking about last week the mystery of iniquity, right? Because the Romans, the time of the Romans, the Roman Empire was a not necessarily multicultural, but multi-ethnic empire. You had all kinds of different nations living underneath the Roman umbrella and calling themselves Romans, living the way of the Romans. which they got from the Hellenistas, right? They got from the Hellenization of the Greeks. They did the same thing, okay? Because the Edomites that were being Greeks, they weren't originally Greeks, okay? They took it on and then they made it then. Same thing with the Romans. They came into Rome. Romulus and Remus weren't Edomites, man. Those were Japhetic people, okay? So that's when they say that, okay? Then you got the Ashkenaz, right? Step on the Ashkenaz. And the only reason why you call them Ashkenaz because they were in that land. You see, but our people's minds are so cooked because the so-called white man's indoctrination of race. Okay? Back then, Gad wasn't looking at race. They didn't see race, right? They would accept Esau in the tribe if the nigga took the customs on. He's part of the tribe now. He saw it, put some face paint on the nigga, send him on a vision quest. Yeah, send that nigga out on a vision quest. He comes back and says, yeah, I'm a Gadite now. Okay, he's a Gadite. They did the same thing with Judah. Reuben did the same thing with the other Esau and Judah when they were coming into the tribes. They weren't looking at it as a colored thing. Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, he's the one that brought that in. Okay? And then he tried to go hardcore with that eugenics, but he started getting this technology. Started measuring noses. The only thing he got from the nose measuring was that the Ashkenaz had a huge one on him. That's all he really got from it, man. Hey, this motherfucker, hey man, the stats lead into this nigga's nose. You got a little extra little curvature at the end, a little curvature, a little peak on him. All right. You see, that's all madness, okay? Because we understand it's all a spiritual thing. It's a spiritual thing.
And the funny thing is, you're going to have Israelites that look like that.
Right.
Yep.
And you're going to have Edomites that look like Jake, that look like Gad, that look like Ephraim and all the different tribes.
Yeah.
But nobody talks about that. See, this society trains you to whatever you look like, that's what you are.
Yeah.
You know, they have not a spiritual bone in their body to be able to discern, now this person is different. They look different, but they don't act like who they look like.
Yep.
They act like us.
Yes. They showed you that the movie Sinners. The Edomite was seemingly Edomite. He was like, "You sure she white?" But the way she was talking, she had spirit to her.
And she was an Irish.
Yeah,
Irish.
the whole time.
And a lot of them Irish and Italians, we know, as we go back to Israel.
Yep.
Right? A lot of the Southern European and that Hibernia, Britannia area, a lot of Israelites there. Because that's where people went to when they left the Roman Empire, man, to escape the persecution. Or converting to the Moorish Empire, converting to that place like Granada, right? You look at Granada and that type of architecture, those are Israelites who made it. Okay? That took on the customs of what? Islam. Right? The Israelites, yeah, they took on the customs of all these different religions over all these years, man. But now is the time for them to return to their true nationality, the truth of the matter, which is the scripture.
You have the out of the church that also took on the same kind of Israel.
Yep, out of it, they built their people.
That's why you got Jacob, you got Esau, that's all into that.
Yep, and you see the Turkish people, well, for instance, right, the Byzantium was headquartered in Constantinople, modern day Istanbul, right? So that was the Israelite headquarters. So you still got a lot of people that may look like a straight Turk, but that guy may be an Israelite.
Oh yeah.
Same thing with the Greeks, right?
Yep.
Right?
Syrian.
And we saw some of that Greek culture, right? It's like Jake culture. They wear the blue and the white, right? The music, okay, the food they eat, the land, right? Everything they do is very Jakeish.
Yeah.
Okay, and they even call themselves Hellenes. They call themselves Hellenistas.
Yeah.
Okay, why? Because that goes all the way back to when Israel was running the show. Okay, because our people were running the show up until the so-called Renaissance. Okay, see, that's why that whole FBA, like, yeah, we was the real Indians, which is crazy. That's literally insane. You won't find a nigga anywhere that can speak that Indian language, man. Okay, that language was passed down, and then when you break down that language, what does that language sound like? It's Hebrew. It goes back to the Hebrew. Yet Gad, living here in North America, they were circumcising themselves. Where else could you find that? You can't find that anywhere else, other than the land of Israel. Our people are doing it. These people are savage.
that separate themselves from their woman during a menstrual cycle. Which that's a Israelite thing. These other nations don't do that. Yep. Which, you know, the South is also doing now on the west coast of Africa, separating themselves from their women on their menstrual cycle.
Yeah, you had historians come to the Americas that traded with Gad and come to the conclusion that they were Israelites. Same thing with the Aztecs,
Yep.
you know, and the different other tribes that were here.
I got a book dealing with the Aztecs, Montezuma. When the Spanish came over here, they walked into Tenochtitlan. He basically gave his people a sermon. Told them, look, don't worry about what these people gonna do. We'll just chill out, relax. Basically, he said at the end of the day, the Most High is going to avenge us.
That's right.
You know.
That's right. Hey, and when they came, they saw that they had Issachar had a lot of records. These devils burned all that shit. And you know, the friars, they were going crazy trying to get rid of the tale or the tradition or the thing of the Quetzalcoatl, because that's from among the Lord.
Yeah.
You got to get rid of this. So they were trying to erase that shit, eradicate it.
So, you know what they help keep though? They help keep that left-handed stuff though.
Oh yeah, of course.
Because the friars, they kept that like, oh, I'm running that. The friars and all the Spanish, they kept all that left-handed stuff because they saw the good in their minds. Well, we can use this.
Yeah.
Because that's really what they're all about. They're not really on the right-hand side of the Heavenly Father.
Yeah, that's all witchcraft.
Yep.
Christianity is what they call cheap veneer for witchcraft and for Freemason.
Yep.
You know, pretty much the cover is Christianity, but when you go in there, you know, it's pretty much witchcraft.
Yeah.
You know, that's what the Lord calls this place, the mystery of witchcraft. You know, that's why it says, you know, when you go down, you know, the sorceries, all that shit is going to be taken down. You know, you ain't going to be able to keep this kingdom going. Because from when you were first created, like it says in Isaiah 47, when you were first here, in this place, in your youth, you were going along with that witchcraft. So now try to tap back into that spirit. Because what you don't understand, yeah, you had that spirit heavy back then because the Lord gave it to you, but now you're at the point where you lose it. And those demons and taking that you crazy, they all work for the Most High.
That's it.
That's right.
You know?
And the whole thing, right? I saw something on the internet, they're trying to say, like, you know, the Hebrew Israelite identity is just part of a cycle of Jake's mind being flipped. Trying to mess it in with Africanism and Pan-Africanism and this next thing, the Black Indian thing going on. This thing goes way beyond what we're talking about. You know, this goes before the 90s, the 80s, 60s. Okay, this was talked about since the beginning, man. Who the Israelites are. Okay, when like the film 1492 with Columbus, right, with Gerard Depardieu. What did he say? He said, "Oh, that's an Ezra. Those are the Israelites." Ezra, he said Jews. Those are Jews. Yeah.
Yeah, he said, it's 750 leagues. You know, how could you be so short? He said, oh, the calculations of Toscana, some so-and-so answered them. He said, Ezra is a Jew. And already 5 minutes and you was in the court and you already condemned yourself like that.
Because they were saying, because they were trying to get rid of whatever knowledge because the so-called Jew took a lot of the stuff from Jake. See, what we're reading about letting the enemy is the so-called Jew, all right, as of today, that guy, he was hanging on to Jake. Okay? That's why this is backwards. He believes it's the lineage of the mother because they would go on and get with the sisters and the daughters of Jake.
Well, you know why they say that? Because the
Herodians started it.
Their mother
was an Israelite. Yeah. It goes all the way back to the Herodians. And it's clear as day in the scriptures.
I'm sorry, not Herod's wife, Mary. His sons came out of it. That's what they say that. Because the father, Antipater, he married Cipro, the Nabatean queen, that's why they say that Esau and Ishmaelites now.
Yep.
But the mother thing goes back to Herod's wife, Mary.
Yep. And then Antipater, he was a distant cousin of Alexander. Okay. of the Macedonians. And we know those are the Edomites. Okay, those are the Edomites who you are, Esau. So hang on to that history. Hang on to that history. Okay, that you're Alexander. What was Alexander all about? He was all about the free car.
Oh yeah.
Okay. He wasn't worried about having seed and carrying children to carry on his legacy. He had to split over his generals. Why? Because he was too busy freaking out. Okay, that's how the so-called white man operates still to this day. And that's your history. What were you doing in the Roman bathhouses, man? It was a ditty party, man.
Same thing he does today. He ain't changed. It's the same kingdom all over again. That's why he got this madness.
That's why Esau, Edom, you want to claim, oh, we're Christians. We're a Christian nation. Well, I'm a Catholic. You're the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
You're a witch. You're a demon, man. You want to talk about, oh, America's this, America's that. America was founded by full-blown witches, man. Okay? High-level 33-degree Masons. Right? They would literally drink your blood.
Sodomites too.
Yep, and do the cremation of care with your black ass. Go ahead.
This is Psalms 147 and 19. It says he showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel.
That's right. That's why the majority of Christian people are Jakes. All right, you see all of South America, Caribbean. Okay, there's no Islamic country in the Western Hemisphere. Oh, that's because of colonialism. You know, no, it's a spirit. Okay, it was easy for our people to get it because they were already used to the stories. Man. They're already used to the understanding of the father and the son.
Yeah, well, this knowledge was with Jake already anyway. Esau just came over and he manipulated Jake, or he coerced Jake into taking and accepting Christianity. They already had knowledge of Yahushua. Let's not forget that Yahushua said he had sheep that's not of his fold. He also has to teach. And he also came over here.
Right.
All right, that's where, that damn demon, Joseph Smith, he gets that story from. The Lord came over. He actually did come over here. All right, we don't got the records of what took place when he came over. There's many tribes that have accounts of when Yahushua came over here. Look up Cahokia out there in the Mississippi Valley. They said it was a man that came down from the sun, which we know that sun was a chariot. And he basically told them that you got to keep the commandments of the Heavenly Father. He told them you ain't supposed to steal, don't commit adultery, don't worship other gods. All right? He gave them the rundown. The same thing Yahushua did when he was out there, amongst the southern kingdom. And you had individuals that follow him, and you had individuals that reject. That's the reason why you got northern kingdom brothers that follow Yahushua today, because he came over here, man. All right, they heard the gospel as well. It wasn't just Judah that heard it, and then Yahushua went back to the heavens, and then now it's the first time the north is getting exposed. So he also came over here, man.
That's right.
Yep. Yeah, because when as quoted earlier, the book of Esdras, when Jake, the northern kingdom, came out over here, they brought all that wisdom and knowledge. That's why you see all these ruins. Yep. Okay, the Mayans, when the Esau came over here, and Esau teach on the Mayans weren't existing anymore. Okay, those were ruins. They didn't know about those pyramids. Those pyramids were later on discovered when the British were coming around doing their little tomb raiding. Yeah, their excavations. They're like, I heard stories. There's something going on over there. They started finding these things. Right? There's another ruin over there. It's southwest over there in Arizona, New Mexico, called Chaco Canyon. And it's on the same level, okay, of those pyramids, based upon how it's designed and the way it links up with the equinox and all this other, geometrical stuff with the astronomy and whatnot. Okay, so at one point in time there was high-level civilizations living here in the Americas. Well, that was the Northern Kingdom when they first came. And what did the Lord do? He got rid of them. Okay, He broke them up, probably much like He did with the Tower of Babel. He destroyed it, man. He put a spirit out there to disband that, man. Okay, so Gad, Reuben, Issachar, a lot of the tribes after, they had an understanding of this. Like, hey, at one point in time, our ancestors were living like this. We don't do that no more. We don't live like that. The Lord, the spirits weren't with them. Okay, but if you have the full understanding of the scriptures, you understand that had to be the Northern Kingdom when they first came here. Because they made that promise, and so they made the promise that so we can hold on to the things we weren't able to hold in our land. We're going to do that over here. So you already know they had that knowledge, and they still went on.
And that's where they still find the different relics of, them things.
Yep.
James the deer came over.
Yep.
He was,
Together with God.
he was a Jake through the spirit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the spirit.
Scots.
Yeah.
So he wrote, he said that all the similarities to Jacob, Hebrew language and all that. Then you had Count Viscount, which he was the one that wrote, I think, like 7 volume books of the antiquities of Mexico. And he interacted a lot with Issachar. And he came to that same conclusion. I mean, there's like reams and reams of information.
Yep.
That these people are Israelites. Because people always talk about the 10 lost tribes. They weren't lost. They were just on this side of the world.
Yep. They had to have gone somewhere. And there was no sign of them in the land they left from. They were like, where did they go? They didn't go this way, they didn't go that way. Where did they really go? Well, let's look at the scriptures. They had to have gone that direction.
And that devil belonged to
Yep.
They knew that. Yeah, that is. Well, the whole time, he was a so-called.
Yeah.
So he had insider knowledge.
You see?
He had insider knowledge, man.
Yep.
So he was going around in his cloak of maliciousness, pretending not to be because he changed his name and all that.
Okay.
But the whole time, the knowledge was passed down under him. Like, no, the Israelites went that way. There's still land over there. Not only that, people have been traveling back and forth, right, for thousands of years before this.
He read that thing, it took him a year and a half to get there.
Yeah.
He read about King Solomon's Navy, the Sidonians every 3 years.
You read about the Phoenicians.
Yeah, 1.5 years, 3 years,
That has to be that direction. It has to be that long because it doesn't take that long to go this way. And you don't want to take a ship to China. You go through the Silk Road. You want to go that. You want to go east. You go travel that way. Okay, you're gonna talk to whoever's running that trade route. Okay, so all this history is there, but you know what? I think it's just gonna believe. We just gonna believe that he was an American Indian, and all of them are Plains Indians, right? Every fucking nigga. They got the headdress. They got the Plains Indians. You Gad and Reuben, right, and Ishkar, they're all dressed different. You go to the West Coast. California natives, they don't have no headdress with the eagle feathers. They didn't rock no eagle feathers, man. That was the Plains Indian thing, but every nigga with the headdress, every nigga. So you was a Plains Indian, then they'll say, well, the Plains Indians, they took us down. Yeah, those are Mongoloids. But the whole time you're taking out their customs. You're out your goddamn mind.
Yeah, niggas don't know that those feathers go back to the Assyrian Empire too.
Yeah.
That's how they dress like that out there. That you had brought that over here with them when they came over here. You got a lot of Assyrians, they'll look at, the customs of the so-called Native Americans, and they'll see the similarities. They look, kind of dressed and have certain customs the same as us. Which you know the scriptures, you understand why they got conquered by the Assyrian Empire. Right?
And then the scriptures say that, carries the crown, head or something like that. So the Lord said that they would be wearing, headdress.
It's different than the ones that were wearing in South America. Yeah, they wear headdresses, but they're feathers, different feathers. Okay, they got different feathers. They don't got a bald eagle, man. All right, that's a North American thing. Okay, not to mention, what about when Gad was creating the Confederacy? Okay, when people hear about the word Confederacy, they automatically think about the Civil War. They don't think about the Iroquois. Okay, they don't think about those tribes, the Seneca, the Anishinaabe. Okay, all, if I'm not mistaken, right? All these tribes getting together and creating their own government. They call themselves a Confederacy. So the so-called white man got that form of government from the Gadites, man. Okay, to do what? To fight against the U.S. government, and that's what that Confederacy of the Iroquois did. Okay, they got together and they said, no, we're going to create our own government. So now we could go in and claim sovereignty against this foreign nation. Then they were able to get the French, okay, make deals with the French, make deals with the British, to give them promises of, okay, we won't encroach on this land and that land. And every Edomite, every deal they made, they broke every deal. But these Indians were uncivilized. They were uncivilized. They were whooping and whopping, and they just were savages, killing each other. Yet, so-called white man, you got your Confederacy through the inspiration of the North American Indians.
But that's how they justify taking the bad and other side. They happening. You got to change it. You got to kill it and save the man.
And so, yeah, and then not only that, out of all the nations the so-called white man has dealt with, he never created boarding schools to break you down, man, to really destroy your knowledge of who you are. He only did it to Gad and Reuben here in America, all right, and also in Canada. Right, then boarding school, they found all these mass graves of the children, and then Esau tried to play it off. No, actually, they only found like 2 or 3 dead in the audience. They blew that out of proportion. They created a race war. Now, fuck you so-called white people. You niggas started the race war and it never ended. Okay? You created this race war and it ain't stopped. Okay? And it ain't gonna end until we got chains on you, man. Alright? You have the Apostle 3:7?
It's Psalm 55 and 20. He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him.
Read that again.
Psalm 55 and 20. He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him.
Yeah, at one point in time, it was not the Mason-Dixon, that's the other one. There was another line, the Appalachian line, I forget the name of it, but Esau said he wasn't going to cross it. If Gad helped Esau, the Americans, the colonialists fight for their independence against the British. They said, hey, we're not going to go across this Appalachian. We'll stay our dirty red asses over here. So, all right, let's go. And they went to war with the British. And they helped them. Because the British, what are they doing? I mean, the American, they were the militias. They got that all from Gad. The way the guerrilla war, the way they were fighting, all the war tactics, they got it from Gad. That's why Esau, to this day, he still puts Gad's name on all his weapons, man. Tomahawk missile, Black Hawk, Apache helicopter, Black Hawk helicopter. All his weaponry, all his goes back to Gad because Gad was his inspiration for his independence, man. Okay, so so all this madness. You want to talk down on the tribes? The tribes are the reason why you so-called white people, you goddamn devils, got this land. Because without the tribes helping your ass, you wouldn't have got this far. And you talked about this every Thanksgiving, you damn devils.
Sure.
All right, you literally talk about it every. You couldn't get through a damn winter, man. But here it is. Esau will tell you. He came from the ice, that's why he's white. Yeah, I wasn't in the sun. That's why I'm white skinned. I have white skin. Nigga, first of all, you red, right? And it's not because of the sun. Right? It's because you go back to Esau, Edom. Okay? Your lineage. And then you want to break it down. Well, Esau, if he was a white man, he would have diluted it and he would have became black again. Nah, man. The Most High put it in your DNA, man, to make that a strong gene at one point in time. And now your genes got weak. Now it's the weakest of all genes.
But the thing is, you can still have two dark-skinned people who come out with the white baby.
Yeah.
So the most high, okay, that's because they say that, Esau down with the Canaanite woman and the Israelite woman, and then, that changed the line forever, so it's impossible. But then you have two dark-skinned people that can have one dark-skinned baby and one white-looking baby, but it's not possible for the whole side to keep that color on it.
Right.
Come on, man.
Because the Heavenly Father, he's the one he wrote the code, all right?
Yes.
The Heavenly Father wrote the code. He's the one that made you, okay? He put it in your genetic makeup, okay? And Esau's genetic makeup is the devil, all right? Go ahead and read that.
This is Psalm 55 and 20. He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant.
Yeah, he has broken his covenant. He made all these treaties, he made all these deals with the tribe of Gad, with the tribe of Reuben, and you broke every last one of them, man. Hey, as for instance, right, because you had a lot of the Trail of Tears, okay, after the Civil War, the 5 civilized tribes, right, which were dealing with Esau, right, mainly the Cherokee, they were letting Esau marry in, and then Esau brought in his slavery. He brought in that chattel slavery to the tribe. And they started saying, okay, let's do what the Esau, so-called white man's doing. That way he won't kick us off our land. So you started growing tobacco, you started growing, industrializing tobacco, industrializing your cotton fields. You would have so-called black slaves on that land. And later on, they became part of the tribe. After they were taken out of slavery, they became part of the tribe. Then what did Esau say? He said, you got to get out of here. Then you set up a Trail of Tears. Okay? And you said, we got this land over there in Oklahoma. That's Indian territory. You got to go over there.
Okay, for these still to believe that this devil got your best interest at heart, you are out of your fucking mind.
That's a fact.
And then on that Trail of Tears, what were you doing? So-called white man, you were getting bandits, stealing so-called black Indians, natives, okay, from the trail and putting them back in slavery, man. That was the type of shit you devils were doing, okay? To the point where did Jake have to go? They were going to Mexico, all right? And there's a lot of Jakes went down to Mexico. Why? To escape the hardcore bondage, man. To escape that slavery. And what, did the Mexicans fight them and say, no, you're not welcome? No, they accepted them, man.
Because they was, was it Reuben too, I believe. They had him
Reuben,
on the
it was
border.
Reuben, yep.
They had him on the border fighting Esau back.
Yep, exactly. Benito Juarez linked up with the general of the Seminole, John Horse, to help them fight off the French. That's where Cinco de Mayo comes from, man. But see, the so-called white man won't go to that. And the reason why Issachar today celebrates Cinco de Mayo, they don't celebrate that in Mexico, is because during the Chicano movement in the 60s and 70s, the Chicanos were trying to push that black and brown vibration, that unity amongst Jake and Issachar, amongst Judah and Issachar, and that's why they were saying this is our day, when we beat the white man. We linked up and took out the white man. Okay, that's what happened at Cinco de Mayo. They went and took down when the French tried to take that land, tried to come into Mexico and recolonize it. It was the tribes who kicked them out, man, not Edomites. Okay, and then all those records, what happened? Fire.
But they still celebrate that day. They still celebrate Jake in that, I forget what city.
Guerrero?
Yeah, in Mexico.
I think that part of Mexico.
They still-
Was it part of Mexico?
It's just a few parts.
Few parts, yeah.
Some celebrated in September, a different independence.
Different, yeah, that's the September
So-
one. But there's a part of Mexico where it's a majority of really dark skinned, curly haired people.
And I believe they got like a plaque or something up commemorating them, if I'm not mistaken.
You know the place where the Seminoles are, right? El Nacimiento. El Nacimiento, that's the one. Yeah, the birth, yeah. El Nacimiento, and that was a lot of Reuben, okay, Judah, were up in that land. Issachar gave it to them. They gave him the land. Yep. Okay, they didn't say, no, you got to pay for it. They gave it to them. Why would they do such a thing? Because they're brothers. Okay? It's a tribal thing. And they didn't do that for the French. They did it for the so-called white man. They did it for the tribe. So anytime a nigga try to get on you, well, man, you with them. They're our enemies, man. You got to be of all people. And the nigga's stupid. He's retarded. Okay? He probably just robbed one of his own. Okay? He probably just robbed one of his own. He probably paid for an abortion of one of his own. All right? Yeah, so, all that madness, all that BS, FBA crap, and it's getting destroyed right now with the truth, okay? And that's why no one wants to come and debate the Israelites. Hey, they'll debate them other guys, though. They'll talk to a bonehead Pegasus, what's his name? They'll talk to that guy. All right? Pegasus. They'll talk to that guy. They'll talk to the, what's his name? Zaryak. They'll talk to that dude. But you want to come up to they're going to try to talk to the apostle, man. Why? Because here at Great Millstone, we got the full knowledge and understanding of it. And we're going to hit you with the actual facts of the history and the scriptures.
And well, you know, Vocab and them rolled up on us when we were morning something up in New York at that park. They rolled up. And Vocab never put that video out. It was a whole year and he put like a full
Oh yeah, kind, I remember.
Yeah, he never put that. To this day, he hasn't put that.
Yeah, when he was sitting down,
Yeah, and then he gave Pastor the booklet. He bowed.
He bowed down.
He went. And we got the picture. We got the receipts of him doing it. You know, and they did it deceitfully because Santa Moon rolled up, act like he was somebody else, and he started talking to us. And then another dude, a couple of guys came, then Vocab came. So they were all together.
It's an ambush.
But they act like they were coming separate.
Yeah.
And then he got it, we would get the camera together. Get the fuck out of here. You set it up there.
Yep.
You mean to tell me you come in and ambush somebody, you know, to debate them or whatever on the scriptures, but you got to stop. Okay, oh, there they go. Let's put the camera together. No, you're going to have that shit already wrote.
Okay.
Well, now he don't even do that no more. Now you know where he's at. He's at the Kabat.
And then, you know, he directed them there, and he's somewhere in that area, hiding in the fucking monastery. Somewhere in the dark basement where the water dripping. Oh, with that fucking Greek Orthodox.
Yeah. Man. He's still on Twitter talking shit too. Right?
Of course. I mean, that's what he does. I mean, that's what he gets paid to do.
Good.
Keep going on that one.
Verse 21, it says, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart.
Yeah, every deal you make with this guy, he's gonna go to war with you no matter what. That's his whole plan. Okay, the so-called white man, it's in his spirit to push forward this war machine. That's why America has gotten to where it's at. That's why all these other nations like coming here, because the war machine brought your bitch ass over here, man. Okay, the war machine brought your bitch ass over here. You bombed the shit out of your country, or you made it poor, and he said, come over here for opportunity. Okay? Well,
It says, his words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords.
And that's how they get you.
Yep.
The God didn't work. You know, like Esau, like the scripture says, the devil's going to come as an angel of light. They're not going to come, rough and tell you that they're the devil. So they're going to come to you like they're your best friend, and they're the best thing that could ever happen to you. You know, they sell you the sun and the stars. You know, but then right? And you know, he can get people. So he went to this high-end place, you know, high-end hotel or something like that, and there was this high-class hooker, right? So, you know, she would say how much, you know, he said, 300. She said, that's too low. He said, 6. She said, now we're getting some. He said, you know what, let's just make it 1,000 each, right? And then they went upstairs to the room. He said, oh, you know what, let me go back downstairs, let me cash this cashier check, and then I'll be right back to give you the money, right? So the cashier check, she said, well, just give it to me. He said, well, the cashier check is $1,400. You know, so and then she gave him $400. He gave her the cashier check, which wasn't any good. So he made $400 out of the deal. He scammed the shit out of her.
Yeah.
You know? But that's Esau.
Yeah.
Well, that was one of the guys we had. That guy was scamming elephants.
You know, but that's how Esau does. He makes it seem that you're getting a good deal, but what they say, when something's too good to be true, it normally is. And that Esau makes things, he makes you think that you're going to be able to get, you know, quick results and quick everything. Nothing good comes easy. Nothing good is quick.
Well, for instance, right, he wants to do this thing with this, what's it called again? The income, basic UBI, universal basic income, right? That's too good to be true, right? But just wait till when he gives it to you, because it's going to be based on that C hit. Okay, it's going to come with the C hit. So you're going to be like, oh, look, now it's instant. Look, it's good and all. No, you just took the work.
Yeah, and then most people are already in a desperate mindset.
Yep.
Can't pay my bills. I can't eat. I can't keep a roof over my head. Gotta live in my car. So when that comes out, people are gonna be like, "Well, we got to lose
Yeah.
your freedom, you know, your life,
Your dignity.
yeah, you know." But that's how he's gonna sweeten the deal, so to speak.
Well,
But
Esau wants your soul. He wants that.
that's it.
Yeah.
But
He ain't telling you that that's what that market tells us.
Straight.
He gonna say, like, you know, the apostles going into, he gonna come smooth, man.
Yeah.
He gonna come and paint the picture like it's the best thing that you
There you
can
go.
possibly obtain. Well, that's something that a benevolent ruler would do. He sees the people down and out.
Yeah.
He's gonna help them out, man.
Yeah.
You know, give them a little stipend.
Yeah.
You know they need food and water, and they can't work any jobs out here, so he gonna hook you up with some free money, man.
Well, that's what's going on here mainly here in San Francisco, but throughout all of California, well, the whole country. Right, they give these junkies a check, and they give them free housing, and then the niggas end up just dropping dead anyways, man.
That was his plan anyway.
That was the plan anyway. You just wanted to make money off it.
They had the safe injection sites.
Yeah.
People go and get drug paraphernalia. They give you the needle, the rope to tie off with. They give you Narcan too, just in case your homie overdoses. You can bring them back so they can keep going. This is all state funded, man. The city was paying for it. You can go to one of these facilities and you can get a kit, man.
Hey, I wonder if Elon Musk got rid of the dope.
But he ain't getting rid of shit, man.
That dude was a Lurie.
Danny Lurie, yeah.
He got rid of it.
Supposedly, but that shit's still going out. Yeah. And that's the nigga you don't trust. All right, yeah, it's in your face. Okay, you can look at the curvature of the schnoz. All right, you can tell. All right.
This is Proverbs.
And that's the one thing. That's the one thing the eugenics people came up with, man. That made a little bit of sense. Go ahead.
Proverbs 12:10, it says, "A righteous man regardeth the life of his beast, but the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel."
Hey, and all you gotta look at is these factory farms. You see how Esau deals with making you the meats you eat. Hey, it's the slaughterhouse is diabolical.
It's wicked. Well, you ain't supposed to set up nothing like that. First of all, you ain't supposed to even eat meat like that. Meat was an occasional, food that you had back in the ancient world. Festival, you had a guest or something, you would dress the lamb, kill it, cook it. But other than that, you was mainly eating, nuts, fruits, vegetables, and all that, legumes.
Because this is before refrigeration. You couldn't just kill the beast. You couldn't kill the cattle, right? The bigger lamb or the cow or whatnot, and just I'm gonna store the rest of it. No, they'll be eating that. So that's when you have a big festival feast. You eat that meat, man, to enjoy it with everyone around you. It will spoil. Okay. So that's the reason why. But now modern day refrigeration, you're able to, let me freeze half of this, keep this one for later, okay, and whatnot. See, the so-called white man, and with all this technology, it's all just used for more wickedness and evil.
Remember when Isaac, he wanted Esau to go get venison?
Yep.
He wanted to eat some venison that night, the blessing. Esau had to go out and hunt it.
Yeah.
He had to go out and hunt it, and then he had to dress it and fix it up. That wasn't no short. That wasn't just going to the refrigerator and seasoning it up in the oven.
And not only that, venison, that's not a domesticated animal. You gotta go hunt. You can't just say, hey, can you give me a lamb? Okay, I'm gonna go deal with this guy, go buy it, do it. It's easy work. Now, the spirit had it. Jacob wanted the venison. He wanted him to go out and hunt it. It's like Isaac wanted Esau to go out there and hunt it. Of course, we know the story. Jacob's mother had a little son on her.
He was a badass cook because he made some goat steak. You bad when you can make some goat.
No, she probably knew the old man's taste buds were all off too. She's like, maybe we spice it up a little bit. He likes it like this. No, women are. Okay. One of them.
Yeah, this is Isaiah 30:1. It says, "Woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with the covering, but not of my spirit."
That's right, yeah, because our people, you want to take on all these different identities, man.
Like the FBA thing. That's not the spirit of Yahweh Shai. What the fuck is the foundation of Black America?
That's the most retarded shit I ever heard.
That ain't nowhere in the scriptures.
You better off calling yourself a Negroid.
Yeah. At least it means something. What is foundational Black America?
Yeah, what the fuck is that, man? Foundation. So you was there with George Washington? You was in there cooking it up with that nigga, man? You niggas was low, man. You was getting, that nigga would probably just sacrifice your mother right before he went and signed the Declaration of Independence, man. But a nigga was foundational. You niggas didn't found shit. We built this nation. You niggas didn't found shit, man. All right, this is the white man's country, all right? As much as you niggas want to claim it as yours, it's the fucking white man's country. And even Gab will tell you that, man. Gab will be the first one to say, hey, man, this shit, yeah, it's my land, but it's this nigga's country right now, all right? Yeah, Gab try to claim the land, but he'll know who runs the show. So-called white man, all right? No matter how different ways you try. We built the White House. Yeah, we did that. Nigga, you ain't done. What's a nigga do recently, man? All a nigga's done recently is created the Diddy freak off, man. Okay, and toast to it and call it black excellence. That's what you niggas was doing.
Well, hey, you building the White House is part of the curses of Yahweh Shai. You shall build a house and you shall not dwell therein.
They was digging out the tunnels underneath them, man, to sacrifice more FBAs.
Yeah.
Okay, because that's who was running through them tunnels, man. Babies, FBA babies, man. Fresh babies for them to sacrifice, man. To do sick shit. Read that again.
Yeah, it says, "Woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me."
Yeah, you don't want to take the counsel of the Heavenly Father. You want to believe in fairy tales. And then you got niggas that claim the Israelites to support that man.
That's crazy.
okay, yeah, really, no, yeah. Like, what's his name? These weirdos were on Adam 22. The gorilla and that other freak, Tazaryak. And then he talked about, hey, what about, in that weirdo, Nasheed, right? He said, what about, don't you guys believe that the Latinos and all the same people? Like, yeah. But they didn't want to go into it, man. They wanted to be strictly on the black shit, man. When you should have just cursed that nigga out and said, no, we're all the same people, nigga. Yeah. We're all the same people. We're all Israelites, so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. Yeah, you can't twist this, you can't separate yourself from us, nigga. We're all the same people. 12 tribes. And then now people are attacking the 12 tribes. Yeah, the FBA people are the main guys attacking the 12 tribes. They got an issue with it.
Yeah, well, it goes back to the position that the Heavenly Father put between the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. But you read Isaiah the 11th chapter, and the Most High says He's going to do away with that. The envy of Ephraim shall depart, and Judah shall not vex Ephraim. And that begins up here. Right? That's why you see so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans coming together without any schisms, man. This is what Esau and Edom got a problem with. That's right. All right? He don't want so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans coming together. All right? Why? Because we are the Israelites. All right?
Yeah, and then that's why when Jake gets locked up or Jake is in the streets, you try to separate him. Mm-hmm. You try to separate even within the tribe itself. Oh no, those are Bloods, those are Crips, those are Northern, those are Southern. Because if everyone was together, you already know what time it is, man. Oh, it'd be over for him. If everyone just said, okay, let's just focus on the real issue here. Let's go step on the Ashkenaz. All right, let's go full force, step on the Ashkenaz. But you're not going to do that, man. Why? Because the Ashkenaz is over there with the leash on you, man. Okay? Training you like a pit bull, like a rabid hood nigga dog, man. To only attack your own. Right? That's why this guy, that dude Nasheed, right? When they bring up, he was talking to Myron Gaines. He's like, hey man, why don't you talk about the Ashkenaz? You want me to crash out? You want me to crash out? How is that a crash out? The truth is crashing out, I guess. And the whole time, hey man, the whole spirit of the world is on that right now, man. He don't want his bag to get that bag. That's he know who his masters are. Yeah, he's literally working. That's his boss. He ain't gonna talk about his boss like that with that money.
You know he like making them movies.
Yeah. He like them FRN. The movies nobody watches.
You can't curse out the Ashkenaz and then expect your movie to get released on at the box office, man.
Yeah.
Well, he got that museum. He got the museum on Crenshaw. The Ashkenaz, you already know he's the landlord too.
Yeah, the Ashkenaz, they own Crenshaw.
They own Crenshaw.
They own LA.
Yeah.
So you get beside yourself, they gonna take everything you got away from you.
Boy, the Ashkenaz, they own your fucking social security number, your birth certificate. They own you.
Exactly.
All right, and they don't want you to be part of the system, and they'll take your ass out. You know.
So you can't go ahead and step on him like that.
Okay, crash out.
Yeah, you want to call it a crash out. And here it is, the guy. You see that guy Dave Portnoy? That guy's getting cooked every time he talks. This is the dude that runs a bar stool. Every time he opens his mouth, he's getting cooked. He's like, man, you're this anti-Semitic. You're being anti-Semitic. You need to lose. You need to go to jail. Pretty much, he wants to destroy free speech because of a couple Jew jokes, so-called Jew jokes. Right. See, and that people are seeing that, and they're able to understand, to break that down, to see, okay, there's something up with this guy, man. There's something cooking, there's something in the air right now where there's an attack on free speech, and that's the thing they're going. Okay. Oh, you can't speak about that. You can't even joke about it. Why? Because it's deemed this, and that's going to lead to violence. Got it. But when it comes to our people, you won't give a damn. Oh shit, I can think of 5 right now. Go ahead. Yeah, those are the best jokes. And Jake don't give a shit.
Yeah.
You don't hear Jake complain, man, they're making fun of me. Jake hit you right back.
The reason why they hit so different because those are part of the curses. It should be a proverb, a Bible, right? And that goes back to, it's really the Most High cracking a joke on you.
And not only that, the jokes about us isn't true. They're lies. Yeah. So we can laugh it off. But the jokes on you know who, hey man, that hit different. It's true. It's true. It's very true. True to life. Yeah, like, oh, yeah, man, don't glue a penny to the ground. All right. And they say you can't, because that guy Portnoy said you can't even joke about it. No joke. Every response underneath that. Why did the Ashkenaz cross the street? You know, and someone said, someone said because there was a baby that's not circumcised. They do that. They do that. And I don't know, that joke is different. Why? Because it's true. Okay? It's very true. That's part of your culture. That's what you guys do. All right? And it's just a joke. And once you get over it, oh, it's going to lead to 6 million. It's going to lead to this and that. Really, you're afraid of the Heavenly Father now. All right? Because you're under heavy scrutiny. And the main scrutiny that you're being put under right now up among us is whether or not you're a child of God, like as you claim.
It was she ain't. The mere fact that the ADL exists proves that they not Israelites. The scriptures tell you who shall bemoan them.
Right.
Who shall go aside to ask how they'll do it. So nobody give a fuck about what you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are going through. Who really advocates for Jake when these people make jokes about Jake, man? You know, the stereotypes come up about Gad, about Issachar. Okay, the stereotypes come about so-called Negroes. Everybody laughs, man. Or when Jake is actually going through some shit, don't nobody stand up. Where the people, you know, rising up to try to stop these ice raids from taking place. People just watching.
Yeah.
Oh, but you see what's going on over there in Gaza, and everybody want to rise up and, you know, we got to have movements, we got to boycott this, boycott that.
You want to camp out at school. You want to raise hell at your Ivy League school, man. For some babies in Gaza. Not your damn life.
What about the fucking Planned Parenthood here in America?
Right.
Exactly.
You know, talking about some babies getting murdered.
And then they mad about due process. Where's the due process? What about Jake getting no due process? Jake getting locked up every day. Still in death row, man. No due process.
What about those dudes that got caught up in immigration? ICE.
Yeah, we were just speaking on them. Yeah, no one gives a damn about them.
This is Jeremiah 15:5. For who shall have pity upon thee, O Jerusalem?
Yeah, nobody has pity on these so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Really, they believe that the reason why you're going through those things is because you deserve it. You're criminally minded, you know, you got low IQ. So you deserve to go through these things. Why aren't the other nations going through things like this? You know?
Persona non grata.
Who shall have pity upon thee, O Jerusalem?
Yep.
Or who shall bemoan thee?
That we shall bemoan, which just proves that those people over there in the land are not the Israelites. They got a whole organization dedicated to having pity on them.
Yeah.
They try to force you to have pity on them by pushing this narrative out there that they're oppressed. You know, 6 million of them. Now you constantly hear that number. They teach this shit in the schools, man.
And then they'll say, you know what? Just apologize.
Yeah.
And come with me to go to Auschwitz.
You gotta talk to a fucking rabbi.
Yeah, you gotta go to Auschwitz and hang out over there, man.
And you gotta reread that bullshit Anne Frank biography.
Damn. And you gotta donate. How they
Yeah,
did
and
Nick
you gotta-
Cannon.
And you gotta put the hat on and touch the wall too.
And you gotta bend over behind the scenes.
Oh man.
It's crazy.
You gotta get stepped on by the astronauts.
Shit.
It's crazy too, because every time a small hat pops up, he'll sit here and say we're the smallest minority in America, and we're the most oppressed. But oppressed people never have to tell people that they're oppressed. Everybody fucking sees it.
Oppressed niggas don't own the banks.
They're the only niggas that sit here and say, I'm oppressed. But nobody else confirms it. But then he still has the ability to go on news and everything to act like he's the biggest fucking nigga in the world.
Oh man.
He got rid of them. He got rid of Judah Eastman.
What happened to the stick?
You probably touched the fence.
Yeah.
He probably touched a little bit of that fence. Ain't nothing to say.
It says, for who shall have pity upon thee, O Jerusalem? Or who shall bemoan thee? Or who shall go aside to ask how thou doest?
Yeah, none of these nations care about what you're going through. The only one that cares is how about Yahweh, but you alienated yourself from the Heavenly Father through your behavior. Like what the brother's going into Isaiah the 30th chapter. You rebellious against Yahweh, you refuse to come under his umbrella, man. Right. You want to put on everything else. Then you still expect these other nations to look at you some kind of way and have pity on your struggle.
Well, that's why no one gives a damn about Jake getting heated up by ICE right now. They deserve it. They shouldn't have gone there. They shouldn't be here if they didn't want that to happen to them. Right? They'll make an excuse, a reasoning for why that happens. Same thing with Jake. Okay, same thing with all the tribes. But for some other guys with special groups of people. That now you got to make a reason. Oh no, you can't say that. You can't do that. You got to protect them. But when it comes to Israel, the real Israelites, none of that exists.
Verse 6, thou hast forsaken me.
And that's why nobody cares. Yeah. You have forsaken Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. So the Most High put that curse on you.
Yeah, you get Deuteronomy 28, 65,
Thou hast forsaken me, said the Lord. Thou art gone backward.
Yeah, thou art going backwards. You was going down that right path. You were following the law, statutes, and commandments at one point, but then you turned back from that. And you started going after the way of the heathen. And then Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai started jacking your ass up, man. And when that happened, Mother they backed up. All right, they don't want nothing to do with you, man.
Yeah, at one time, we were the top nation. But then we came underneath, because the nations were set up to be our servants. And now we came down to that servant position.
Yeah, we degenerated, as a people, and this is why nobody cares about your situation. Look at you in your situation. You just wilding out. You're called a YN, young nigga, and you actually feed into that. And you embody it. You become it.
Well, every Waffle House video.
Right. Oh yeah.
That sets Jake back another 20 years from the civil rights movement, man. Every time a nigga jumps on the counter at the McDonald's, that's what people see. They ain't gonna feel bad for you.
Every sexy red.
Yeah, every Latino they see come up here, get caught up by ice. What do they see? They see the nigga with the devil horn tattoos, man. They see the nigga in seat cotton, tatted up, man, just savage. That's what they look at you at, because y'all ain't goddamn beasts.
Yep, thou art gone backward, therefore will I stretch out my hand against thee.
And that's what's happening. Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai stretched out his hand against your so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. But then the Most High is the one jacking you up, and you going and asking the so-called white man for help. Help us get out of this situation. How he gonna help you get out of the situation with yourself, man? And here it is, we telling you why you in the situation that you in. You ain't listening to what we saying. But you going to Esau, even going to these other nations. You got these passport bros. They think the problem is America. No, the problem is you. All right, it's your conduct down here on the earth. You break the law, statutes, and commandments, and Yahweh Shai on a daily basis. So you can go to, Thailand and Philippines. Here you're going to get treated differently because Esau ain't, the one that's immediately in power over there. But you still got the curse of Yahweh Shai on you, man.
Yep. It says, and destroy thee. I am weary with repenting.
And the Most High tired of doing what you niggas, man. Which is the reason why you're going to have the 2/3 getting completely swept. All right, the Most High he ain't going to have you walk through the wilderness. He ain't going to deal with that stock no more. He going to completely destroy them. All right, he going to deliver the elect, and then out of the loins of the elect, that 2/3 going to come back. Okay, so these bodies get completely changed. All right? The Most High ain't dealing with this rebellion no more, man. You either get down with Yahweh Shai or you get destroyed.
And I will fan them with a fan in the gates of the land. I will bereave them of children.
That's still happening today. Your children dying at a young age, man. Your children getting ripped up by animals.
Dying in the womb. They don't even see the light of day. The first thing that they experience is a fucking hanger going up inside of them with a small hat.
Oh yeah.
Or the
vacuum.
Or a vacuum. Yeah. Goddamn Dyson. And they getting sucked up. And then fucking Esau, what does he do with them parts?
Chop them up. Put in your food. Put in your hot Cheetos.
Yep. Put it in.
Put in that natural
flavor. And he drinks it too. He eats it and drinks it.
Oh yeah.
There was that.
It was a Rabbi Finkelstein.
You kill the babies, and we grind them up and
put them in the burgers.
Put them in the burgers.
We put them in the burgers.
Hey, you eat babies, man.
Chopped up man.
It says, I will destroy my people since they return not from their ways.
And that's what's happening. Yahweh Shai has destroyed this as a people. All right, and these other nations looking at you in the state that you in, they ain't having pity on you, man.
Nope.
All right.
Their widows are increased to me above the sand of the seas. I have brought upon them against the mother. I have brought upon them against the mother of the young men a spoiler at noonday. I have caused him to fall upon it suddenly, and terrors are upon the city. She that has borne 7 languishes She has given up the ghost.
Yeah, so her children died. Right? Which the Most High is going to run this back.
Right.
All right? You Israelites, you're doing the same thing you was doing back then. The Most High sent the prophets to you, told you to repent. What's the response from you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans? Basically, you giving the Heavenly Father the middle finger.
Oh, just like Boosie.
Yeah,
Oh, yep.
Now he
Prime
want help. Now he want to turn back to the old way and drink teas. And help me that cayenne, break up that congestion. Only the Most High can break up that congestion.
Yep.
Yeah? All right, and you put the Most High off.
You stick with that pork, man. That pork do you good.
It's gonna get you right.
You know, you've been eating it this long. You've been told that pork is bad for you. I ain't doing that.
It says, she has given up the ghost. Her son has gone down while it was yet day. She has been ashamed and confounded. And the residue of them will I deliver to the sword before their enemies, said the Lord.
Yeah, the ones that remain, they got killed in the war. All right, but that's going to happen to you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans as well. When you go up and read, you ain't got to read it. You go read the top verses of that chapter. It goes into Yahweh Shai rejecting you niggas, man, for your disobedience. All right? And you in the same situation right now. And even when this deal goes down, when Jacob's trouble takes place, you're going to be expecting these other nations to help your ass out, man. Ain't nobody going to help you out. The nation's going to sit back and watch you be destroyed. Yep. All right? You also will have foreign troops out here that's going to be putting you niggas to death. All right? You're going to come across a dude speaking Russian. You're going to think he on a different team. He ain't on that same time that the Edomites over here on. He going to put you to death, too.
Yep, and what it talks about, like you said earlier in the chapter, talk about those 4 times.
Right.
The beast is slain, the sword is, sword is slain, all that, basically, the Most High got different things prepared for you to get to death, right?
Well, it's going to be fire at will and kill indiscriminately.
Yep.
Because they're not going to risk whether or not, or if you're a non-combatant.
Yeah.
Everyone here in America is going to be an enemy. Especially if you're a foreign soldier. It's going to be nothing to them. Okay? There's going to be nothing to them. To look at you and just blow your brains out.
Well, that's the image that they see on TV, right? Yeah. And on the internet, you wilding out. YNs. Right. Keisha, McDonald's when Keisha is jumping through the drive-thru window, because her fries were cold.
She didn't get enough, she didn't get the extra sauce.
Yeah, the sauce.
What about that one video in Oakland when they put the baby on the curb and they were swallowing out? 2 black women. They put the baby in the baby seat. They put on the curb. And they was just squabbling out in the middle of the street, man.
When one was pregnant, they was like,
oh yeah, one was pregnant. I was pregnant and open.
and they was processed.
So the image of these so-called black and Native Americans amongst the nations is animals, and Esau makes sure that the bad things that you do are put out in the forefront.
Those things get 1 million views, man. And everyone shares it, and now all of a sudden they have to eat. Now I had because you saw a couple of 1,000 clips. Get out of here.
Get off of social media.
Yeah, get off of social media and take a walk. You'll get fatigued from this lady.
And that was it on that.
Jake got Deuteronomy.
It's crazy too. It's like these foreign troops, when they come here, they know the statistics of America. That's why they're not going to listen to me. They know there's more guns here than people. So everybody, and they going to get stuff too. They going to have AI, they going to be super soldiers. They going to have chips, and they going to have orders. They going to have no emotion. They going to be on drugs. We're going to be in a terrible time, man.
It's going to be way more. Go ahead, brother.
The book of Deuteronomy 28 verse 55, and among these nations shalt thou find no ease.
Like you said, who shall be most among these nations shall thou find no ease. That's part of the curse. Here it is, the nations come over to this side of the world, right? And, in a short period of time, they prosper. They have businesses, they have, but really, they have
Well, if you try to get a business, what's going to happen? Your own people going to come in and rob you. Just like you go out in Oakland, they might have a weed shop, selling selling hair. You know, the Chinese woman, the Edomite woman, they cornered that market. So there's some there's a lot of market cap there. You want to get in, try to get a piece of the pie, sell to their own community, support your own black-owned businesses, and you set up a boutique where all the nice hair and shit, or clothes and shoes. The old people, what happened? Them niggas come in and spy it out, and then that same night they break down your shit and snatch everything.
I believe that happened recently in Oakland, if I'm not mistaken. It was so-called black-owned like restaurants, probably like high scale.
Yeah.
They got shot up. Yep.
They got mad at the Jake for getting mad at the city, man.
Right.
Getting mad at his own people.
Yep.
And you know what they did? The next article that came out through the Ashkenaz news media was they didn't pay their rent for the past year.
Oh, hell, I didn't hear.
So why would you do that? Like just to keep kicking them while they're down, right? That's what the Ashkenaz do. Hey, release it. Well, check in your paid rent. I know for a fact. That's black owned. Oh, they late on rent. They ain't up on their rent. So next thing you know, that's the next article. Nothing to do with, hey man, we gotta support our businesses, we gotta fix the safety, we gotta do all these things. No. Blame Jake. Right? It's the same thing. Esau, Edom.
Blame the blacks.
Blame Jake again.
You know, you gotta sit your castle down.
That's it. You got it done, bro?
God. It's the book of Deuteronomy 28 verse 65. And among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest. But the Lord Yahweh shall give thee there a trembling heart and failing of eyes.
Say it in the Bible. Matter of fact, somebody can look that up. Say it in the Bible. Say it in, so pretty much, I got something real quick, hold on to that. This is the book of Psalms 106 and 41. And he gave them into the hand of the heathen, and they that hated them ruled over them. Their enemies also oppressed them, and they were brought into subjection under their hand. And that's why, it says among these nations shall not find no peace. And part of the parable that the Lord spoke about, with Lazarus and the rich man, he said that the dogs lick the sword. So that's these different nations that take the little bit that Jake has left, from them. See? So who got that?
I got it. The word there is Kala Yawan, Strong's H3631. It says completion, destruction, consumption, annihilation, failing, pining.
Failing, pining. So it's like failing the life. So and anything you put together, then you are not going to be able to prosper. Because the curses are following you everywhere you go.
There you go.
Yep.
You, your family, your children, your ancestors before you. Those curses are generational.
Transgenerational.
They continue on. And the only time they're going to come off is when the Lord Yahweh takes the curses.
Oh, like IUIC, the woman, that women's program. They set up that women's program to teach the women, which it sounds good, but the gist of it, like Bishop Nathaniel's woman said, we can help, kind of alleviate and take away some of these curses. How the hell are you going to do that?
Yeah.
You saying you're going to do what Yahweh can do?
You're going to alleviate something else.
Right.
That's about it.
Exercise demons.
You ain't going to be able to do that. Okay? It's going the curse is going to pinpoint you.
Come here.
They're going to pinpoint
Come
you.
here.
I think you got it.
Miss Lady, you're too close. You gotta give us
Come
space.
here.
White woman.
You gotta give us our space, Miss Lady.
Sorry. Speaking about the women.
Hey, Miss Lady, you gotta get out. You gotta get shit up back up.
Anything else?
You got it.
Why anything?
Destruction, consumption. This is in the lexicon. Destruction, consumption, pining.
Hey,
Wasting
you're
away.
way too close.
Not a problem.
It says pining of the eyes, i.e. languishing itself.
Yeah, language. Hey, another part of the curse that says, you shall, in everything you put forth your hand. It's in 20 something. It's like 20 something. It says that the Lord's going to, in everything that you put your hands to, the Lord, you're not going to be able to prosper. And that's true. Anything Jake does in this society, they're not going to prosper. The only way you can prosper is if you sell out. And even then, then you're not going to be able
You stop it.
prosper.
Listen.
Because at the end of the day,
Can I ask
be
you a
quiet,
question?
Satan. Be quiet, Satan.
Be quiet, Satan.
Who is this that dares disturb the word of the Lord?
The word of the Lord.
Step, Satan.
Step, Satan.
Don't
Yeah,
touch
yeah,
me.
yeah.
Don't touch me, girl.
Yeah, yeah. Don't use it, talk.
Just gonna roll her out of here.
Yeah.
You got it.
Now, if you roll out, you can probably call the cops. Let her roll out. She came in
She's
by
a frequent
herself.
flyer.
She'll roll out by herself.
Yeah.
She's tired. She said she had a headache. Where's all that gin? Man.
It's vodka, you motherfucker.
It's taco.
But go ahead, bro.
Read again or?
No, that was that on that?
Yeah, that was it.
All right, so
Your brother's got the definition?
yeah. And what
No, we got that. We just read the definition.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's
You got a precept?
speak the word of the Lord.
Yeah, but
Or the brother.
Yeah, bring it up, whoever got it.
you got
Let's
bring up
speak the
precept.
word of the
Oh,
Lord.
they have a precept.
Oh, I got something. This Lamentations 2:15. All that pass by clap their hands at thee. They hiss and wag their head at the daughter of Jerusalem, saying, "Is this the city that man called the perfection of beauty, the joy of the whole earth?"
And that's a sentiment all the way across the board. Like that movie they cloned Tyrone.
Yep.
That's pretty much like a blueprint or
So what do you
or
know?
pretty much a
What do you know,
factory.
kid?
That they
Hey,
produce.
son.
This is because this is something that goes this generation.
Hey, young.
So all throughout the different ghettos and the barrios, this is what they pretty much, set up Jake as. And that's why when you look at Jake in any hood you go to, they all act the same way.
Exactly.
The
They
women
got the
act
same spirit.
the men act the same.
Yep.
They dress the same.
No, we
it's
don't.
a generational thing.
Okay.
No,
we
this
don't.
is why Esau was mad at Jamie Foxx when he made that movie. That's why they almost took him out. Please don't touch me.
I'm not
Do not touch
Jacob.
me.
I'm
All
not
right? Do
Jacob.
not touch me.
I'm not Jacob.
I know you're not Jacob. You're the devil.
That's right.
I am not.
No, don't put your hands up.
I am not Jacob.
Last warning. Last warning. Otherwise, we're gonna roll
Put
you
your
out.
hands on me again.
Yeah,
Don't be surprised.
We're gonna roll you out.
So go ahead, bro.
It says, verse 16, all thine enemies have opened their mouth against thee. They hiss and gnash the teeth. They say, we have swallowed her up. Certainly this is the day that we look for.
Like, look at that word, swallow her up. This is why the scriptures say that Jake would not be recognized among the nations. Because
Go
this
ahead.
is a direct part of the curse
Go ahead.
on Jake. And what these, and when you bring that out, they say, well, no, that doesn't apply to y'all.
Go ahead,
All the
kid.
curses. The scriptures that say all these curses will come upon you in one, captivity. This is something that happened in different captivities. Different things happen in different captivities. If you don't have land, how can your crop fail or your flock fail or whatever? You got it.
Oh, you got it.
The word swallow up. The Strong's H1104. Malai, to swallow down, to swallow up, to engulf. To eat up, to swallow down, to swallow up, engulf. To be swallowed down, to swallow up, engulf, squandering. To be swallowed up, to be ended.
And that's pretty much why it says you shall not be reckoned among the nations. You're not going to be recognized.
Shut up.
There's not going to be anyone out there that's going to look at you and take you serious. And this is why Esau, his whole thing is about pushing that stereotype of, Jake being in that low condition. That's why they reward, people that act like that. But then they frown upon people that tell you the truth and tell you to get yourself together, get out that spirit. You're better than that. Here it is, you're kings and princes, and princesses. But you're acting like the peasants are acting.
Right.
So you got to get out that street. You got to come back to that ruling class mentality and get out of that slave class mentality. You know, because this is what Esau did all throughout slavery, and even to this day.
Yep.
Say it.
It continues on to this day.
It's the book of Psalms 50 and 19. Thou givest thy mouth to evil, and thy tongue frameth deceit. Thou sittest and speakest against thy brother. Thou slanderest thine own mother's son.
Yeah, and that's the bottom line. That's what Esau does, and that's what they're good at. You know, but they'll do it behind the scenes. They'll let Jake do it because they pretty much showed you and taught you how to do it. This is why they took the man out the house, because they know without the man in the house, there's not going to be any structure, family structure. You know, so pretty much the woman bringing the child up, she going to bring him up based off emotionally. You know, and then that's going to, you know, one generation after the next generation, they're just going to become worse and worse. You know, so within the last 30 to 50 years, you know, this is what you have from all these different single mothers. You know, they blame the father being deadbeat and all this, but it's you women that raised all of these children.
Exactly.
So,
Bruh.
I told you don't put
Yeah, you gotta
fuck
go.
out of here, bitch. Fucking side people on the fucking side of your head, bitch. That's a bold fucking thing, man. Don't come back over here. Don't come back over here.
That's fucking bucket.
Fuck out of here.
Roll down the block. Roll down the block.
Get the fuck out of here.
You Satan hate the edification that's coming out. That's all that is.
Roll down the block.
You know.
Yeah, get the fuck out of here. Bitch. Go ahead, bro.
That's right. Oh yeah. You have more on the definition.
That was it.
Okay.
Definition.
This is back in Lamentation 2 in 16. All thy enemies have opened their mouth against thee.
Yes.
They hiss and gnash the teeth. They say, we have swallowed her up. Certainly this is the day that we
Now,
look for.
somebody get Lamentations 1 and 21, I believe it is. You guys finish that up?
We have found, we have seen it. The Lord hath done that which he hath devised. He hath fulfilled his word that he had commanded in the days of old. He hath thrown down and hath not pitied, and he hath caused thine enemy to rejoice over thee. He hath set up the horn of thine adversaries.
And you see all the nations rejoicing over Jacob.
Yep.
You know, all these nations, the Edomites, the Elamites, you know, whenever Jake come around these different nations, they look down on Jacob. All of them. It ain't just one or two, all of them. Esau, all the nations. That's why you had the list in Psalms 83rd chapter. You know, all of the nations are complicit. So the main reason we get on Esau the most is because Esau is the main problem right now. They're the head. But all these nations don't get it, just as equal.
That's right.
You know?
Yep.
You got it. Yeah, bring that out.
1 and 21.
Yes, please.
God. The book of Lamentations, chapter 1, verse 21. They have heard that I sigh. There is none to comfort me. All my enemies have heard my trouble. They are glad that thou hast done it.
Yeah, so there's no one out there that is fucking crying, you know, or speaking about the plight of Jacob.
Right.
These other nations ain't doing that. They don't give a shit about Jacob. No, but they're happy that we're in this low condition. Okay?
Thou wilt bring the day that thou hast called, and they shall be like unto me.
Right, you will bring the day that you have called, and they shall be like unto me. There's going to be a trading place type. You know, this is going to wait the Lord to deliver us out of this situation and put these nations back to where they belong, back underneath, you know, our feet. You know, and these heathens, you know, and these so-called, like vocab and them talk about the nations of everybody's going to be equally. No, motherfucker. The nations are going to be right where they belong. You ain't going to change the narrative of the scriptures of the Lord. He says, you know, when you have heathens in your among you, that's where you're going to get your slaves from, your servants from, your handmaids and your men servants. You're going to get it from among them. You know, you're not going to rule like that over, you know, your own brethren. You know that?
God. Continuing on, it's verse 22. Let all their wickedness come before thee, and do unto them as thou hast done unto me for all my transgressions. For my sighs are many, and my heart is faint.
My sighs are many. Read that again, that part.
God.
Okay, let's close this up, bro.
God.
Just finish this up and let's get the fuck out of here.
God. And do unto them as thou hast done unto me for all my transgressions. For my sighs are many, and my heart is faint.
Yeah, so pretty much, the Lord is going to give us vindication.
That's right.
Very soon, these nations are going to go down. And all these demons, the Lord is going to come. He's going to judge every last one of these demons out. We're coming to the very serious time where all these different nations, peoples out here are going to get judged.
That's right.
And there ain't going to be no mercy in that day. Don't be crying for no fucking mercy in that day. There ain't going to be no mercy.
That's right.
So that's it, bro.
Yeah.
So, want to close it out.
Yeah, so with that, we'll go ahead and close it out. Once again, giving all praises and glory. Until next time, I want to say shalom.
Shalom.
To the elect, that's right. I recorded it just in case. Yeah, you already